The 1980s was the decade of change in Australian rules football. The VFL spread its wings. Firstly, South Melbourne relocated to Sydney to become the Swans, followed by the establishment of the West Coast Eagles and the Brisbane Bears. The move to nationalise the competition had begun, and history shows it hasn't been a smooth road. The only state not willing to travel that road was South Australia.
When we got to 1990, we said it's time we had an Adelaide team in this competition. And we put that proposition to the SANFL, and they still weren't quite ready. We were, and we wanted to get an Adelaide team in. We were keen to get Port Adelaide in the competition because they were such a strong local side and they'd been so successful in the SANFL over many, many years.
Suddenly the story broke, and it was the biggest story in 50 years in football in South Australia. It split the state. Everyone had an opinion, everyone had a side.
The best-kept football secret was now ready to rock the foundations of a proud football state. Port Adelaide President Bruce Webber confirmed the accuracy of all the speculation.
The Board of Directors of the Port Adelaide Football Club have signed a heads of agreement with the Australian Football League for Port Adelaide to participate in an AFL competition in 1991.
Then it became us against the world. You'll be guilty, everybody hates us, yes, let's do it.
The sun wasn't shining over Football Park today as the SANFL directors met early this morning to plan their talks with the Port Adelaide board members. After 1.5 hours behind closed doors, the Magpie contingent departed, telling the South Australian League it would not pull out of its deal with the Australian Football League. Another hour and a half down the track and the league officials emerged with President Max Bashir and General Manager Lee Wicker flanked by 9 directors. And now another committee will decide Port Adelaide's fate in the SANFL.
The committee has the power to fine, suspend, disqualify or censure the club.
It absolutely divided the state in a way that very few things have in my lifetime in football.
It got to the stage that we had, us as individual directors, all of us were sued by the SANFL and some of the clubs. And so our personal assets were on the line. A couple of us went to game and we were physically attacked. We haven't reported that before. I got hit in the back of the head walking across a ground.
So with Adelaide, it's a generic club that a North Adelaide, a Nord, a Glenelg, a Sturt, they gravitate towards. Port Adelaide have won on their own.
They've won the 1990 title as the best team in South Australia. Thoroughly deserved. Bruce Webber, the Port Adelaide chairman, who's come under enormous flack and pressure in recent months as the team to win the last grand final in the South Australian National Football League as we've known it. They had every obstacle in the world thrown in front of them, but once again they came up trumps.
Pros came in 1991. In 1992, our board formally put a subcommittee together and a strategy to get the next licence. And so we started working from that day. We always felt that we had to get the second licence. And the South Australian Football League were pushing it be a combined club, a bit like the Western Australian setup, pushing for 2 clubs to amalgamate and make the bid. And we kept saying, no, 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 it's going to be Port Adelaide and Port Adelaide alone, much to their dissatisfaction and dislike. However, we had a good inkling that the AFL wanted something different. When the tenders were taken in to the SANFL, the Sturt Nord consortium had a document in a little carry bag. The West Torrens consortium had a little manila file. We walked in with 2 suitcases. So we killed them.
It was a 600-page bid, but right at the end of it, we left them with a video and we left them the last 2 or 3 minutes of that game. We were storming home and, kicking goals, Scott Hodges and Tony Malakellis, and the crowd were just so loud and raucous, and it was like there were 100,000 people there. And we said to them, have a look at this is the crowd that are going to come to our AFL games.
Good looking drop punt, where's Hodges? Here's the danger man at the moment, he's got it! Right on cue, Scotty's coming to the game and he's... They look okay at the moment. This man was always going to be the trump card. beautiful kick. His game and his premiership, and Jack Carlin Port Adelaide's premiership. Congratulations, boys. What a super day. What a great day for the Port Adelaide Football Club.
It wasn't just the way they won, it was the whole package. It was the supporters, the way they got behind their team, the way the players lifted. It was classic Port.
It was a day we'd waited a long time for, and an announcement every Port Adelaide fan had been dreaming of for years.
The second AFL Licence Subcommittee unanimously resolved that the Port Adelaide Football Club tender be recommended to the South Australian Independent Commission as the successful tenderer.
Well, we're delighted to hear that, as people would expect us to be. It has been a tough year, and it's been more than a tough year since the Future of Football Subcommittee was formed back in December '92. The process has been long and some would say a bit emotional.
I'm so proud that my club was the trigger that firstly forced the SANFL to create the Crows, and then secondly got the second licence, and that's to me was vindication for Bruce Webber, who I still hold in such high regard at this club as the man with the guts, the courage to stand there against the rest of the state attacking him, and he knew it was right. And time proves he was 100% right.